Blog Talk Radio.
Greetings and salutations, hempsters. This is your hempy host with HempAware Radio, Mr. Tyler Hoff here. We're here to empower your hemposphere because it's important. We're on a mission to raise awareness about the benefits and value of cannabis hemp for food, shelter, clothing, and 25,000 things that hemp can be made into. And on today's hempisode, we'll be discussing the amazing building applications of hemp and why hemp is so sustainable. And to do this with me, we have a very special guest on the line who goes by the name Marcus Cocamo with Cocamo Hempcrete out of Idaho. And this man has an amazing vision to build a sustainable hemp community. So we're going to get into the benefits of building with hemp, what the future looks like, and what he's currently working on to empower people's hemposphere with hemp building materials. Marcus, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Tyler. It's good to be here. Appreciate it.
Right on. So for our listeners, your website, just to get started, CocamoCity.com, CocamoCity.com. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Awesome. So to get started, what was your first introduction to hemp, and why were you so inspired to start working with it?
Well, I wrote these questions that you gave me in email this morning all out, and I answered them and wrote down pretty long-winded things. So I'm just gonna get started with it right here and start reading. It all goes back to my first trip to Burning Man, where I first experienced a radical new way for humanity to live together. I saw right away that the societal experiments going on at this week-long temporary city of about 60,000 people were not perfect and could be greatly improved upon. After a few days there, immersing myself in the gift economy, resource-sharing culture, and the ingenious circular geometric design of the city's grid work, and it was organized very well. It was after a few days there, I had a vision for a sustainable city in the jungle based upon the flower of life and the Star of David sacred geometric design. Like this design flashed before me, and then right after, I kind of just had the idea of calling it Cocamo City, and I always thought that, based from the Cocamo Beach Boys song, but I always thought it was spelled Cocamo, and so that's kind of where that spelling came from. I also, there's a lot of global gift economy concepts that I wanted to develop and stuff in this city. So I've been dreaming and researching how to make this city a reality for over 10 years now. In this journey of research and discovery, I have found hemp. I was in Thailand when I first understood the difference between hemp and marijuana and found out how useful hemp industrial would be for my Cocamo City plan, as I want to make the city as ecologically sustainable as possible. So right away, I put the two together in the old-fashioned city farm model and came up with Cocamo City Hemp Farm and began creating a website to honor this new idea. I learned very quickly that hemp could be made into sustainable, negative carbon footprint building materials, and I thought, wow, I could build the entire city, buildings, homes, a place called Food Camp in the center, vehicles from hemp fiber, and use the hemp Cocamo City grows all over the city and on large hemp plantations surrounding the city. I thought we could also create hemp building materials for our global gift economy website, which is now available, globalgifteconomy.com, our resource sharing site. I'm not a rich man, so I can't just buy 1,000 acres of jungle and build right away, so I came up with a plan to get there. I now call this plan Cocamo Idaho Hemp and Magnesium-based building materials. Kind of the name keeps getting different, developing as I find out new ways to build with it. Using magnesium now. Anyway.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit more about that. What are some current projects that you're working on. I mean, I love your vision. I share a very similar vision of living in a hemp-based world where our homes are made out of hemp, our cars are made out of hemp, fueled by hemp, all of our clothing, our foods are saturated with hemp seeds and hemp oil and hemp cereals and all sorts of amazing stuff. Exactly.
I was doing a meditation walk with my dog, and that not too long ago, and that word popped into my head. A lot of the ideas I get when I'm taking walks with my dog. So I owe a lot to my dog. If she wasn't in my life, I probably wouldn't have taken near as many walks.
It's so crucial.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
So what are some of the current developments that you're currently working on? Obviously, Hempcrete is one of them.
Yep.
And so is there any other type of applications or experiments that you're doing, or how are you?
I'm actually not working so much with Hempcrete. I've only done one Hempcrete mix, made a few, just what I've learned from my research and just trying to call it building composites. A hemp lime building composite would be what Hempcrete, the definition of what Hempcrete currently is. I have lately I've been making a lot of samples and doing mock building tests for bricks, Hempcrete stucco, tile grout, and even asphalt. I've been using mostly the last few months magnesium-based binders and mixing different things like magnesium oxide, magnesium chloride, magnesium phosphate. That's the key ingredient right there. And also I've tried Epsom salt, magnesium sulfate, adding that as well, and doing little mock experiments. My first project is underway right now, and I've been working on it. It's a new sacred geometric dome structure called the Phi Center in a little town called Clark Fork, which is only about an hour, less than an hour from me. It's in my neighborhood, but it's a good drive. I'm designing it's really cool. I'm designing a flowing entranceway using a hemp burlap as the foundation and a light like stick frame that we haven't really. Her construction crew is going to build. I'm kind of helping just to plan and make the material and design it with her contractor. Anyway.
Cool.
So I'm burlap and a unique magnesium phosphate mag-ox binder recipe where I'm going to work with, and no lime.
Interesting.
She doesn't want to use lime. Yeah.
So once you
go ahead.
So the actual structure, you're saying the outside of the building is going to be Hempcrete, the dome itself.
Yeah. So the way that the building has already been built. This is a large sacred geometric dome. It's huge. It's beautiful. There's not too many pictures online of it yet. I tried to check, so you can't really find it, but you will be able to find it someday. Yeah. She's an architect. Her name is Iris DeMero, and she's been paying attention to me and was introduced to me. She's built several amazing dome structures in the area, mostly the Clark Fork area, and she's the one that's she bought some hemp from me that I got from you and things like that to get started with. And so we've been working on developing a new idea. I've been the one doing it, and her contractor's also really excited about it, John. He's been doing his own research, and we've come up with some pretty cool stuff. But still more planning to go. Yeah. Working. I'm actually going to test it today, see if it works. But
very cool. I look forward to hearing the results. So let's talk about. I mean, obviously, I want to get into the benefits of working with hemp, but before we do, what are some of the limitations that you have found in working with hemp as a building material?
Okay. Let's see, where's those notes? I'm trying to find the notes on that one.
And obviously, right now, one of the limitations that I'm aware of is just access to hemp material, whether it's hurd or the bast fiber. Obviously, we want to be sourcing it directly from the United States and getting it as close to home as possible. Right now, we're importing it from Europe and China and Canada. So ultimately, one of my limitations or one of my goals is
I
to
found
get
my
it
notes.
locally.
I didn't want to just wing it. I really wanted to find my notes. So anyway, cool. I found that question. Well, I found out right away that current hemp lime building composites have very little compressive or tensile strength, and so only can be used as an infill material and an insulator with reinforcement strength coming from the timber, rebar, whatever material you want to use for the reinforcement or structural support. You basically have very little tensile strength. The hempcrete is not really concrete. This concrete has 10 to 20 times the tensile strength or something like that of hempcrete or hemp lime composite. So it's pretty limited, really, in what you can do. People have this, I think, imagine it being like concrete where we can just pour it and it could be our roadways and all these things right now. At this point, it really can't. Anyway, I have some more things. Also, the lime is usually at a 1 to 5 to 2 parts ratio to 1 part hemp hurds. And so the lime is the chief ingredient. And it's the same thing that's the chief ingredient in Portland cement. So it's not too far away from cement, really. Lime and Portland cement have huge carbon footprints. But it takes being calcified. It also takes being calcified in the kiln at over 2,000 degrees, so a lot of heat to create lime from limestone. Although hemp lime composites are still considered carbon negative because hemp lime materials sequester carbon forever and hemp plants recycle considerable amounts of carbon, so it is still a carbon negative even though limestone is carbon intensive, or lime. So to solve this problem, I'm going back. Anyway, go ahead.
I was just going to kind of reiterate what you said. So the hemp basically offsets the carbon emissions or the carbon contribution to the atmosphere. You're saying the hemp sequesters it or pulls it down. So it's basically a carbon neutral crop.
Yeah, or they say it becomes carbon negative because products made from hemp and lime, they petrify and they get stronger over time, which is a really cool thing. They're always curing, which means they're always pulling carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and becoming more of a rock. The plant material becomes limestone over time. And so, over time it becomes carbon negative, but really in the beginning you're using so much lime that it's not carbon negative in the beginning. I don't think. So to solve this problem, I'm going back to the ancient magnesium-based cements that Romans used, the Colosseum. The Great Wall of China was built with magnesium-based cements. Wow. And because magnesium phosphate, magnesium oxide, and all these things, when mixed together, have can set very quickly and can achieve higher compressive strength than concrete can. I just did an experiment where I got it to set with hemp in it in 15 minutes to porcelain strength, doing the right mixture in the right amounts of water. This stuff isn't all that hard. Really, anybody can do it if they have the ingredients. The ingredients are tough to find. But
which kind of did you want to finish that thought?
Well, yeah, actually, and also all the other benefits of magnesium oxide-based cements are they have a natural affinity for bonding with cellulose materials or plant materials, such as hemp, birds, or really anything like that. I found that they actually bond to just pretty much anything. I did a tile lay, and it just stuck onto the tile, and the tile is stuck on there like a rock. It's pretty cool. It's also much healthier to work with, as it's completely non-toxic. You can even eat, the magnesium. As magnesium is an element in our own bodies, and we would most likely just get out. But magnesium is one of the most abundant elements in the universe and can be extracted from seawater, plants, manure, on and on. It can be mined like lime, and that's where we're getting it now, from a mineral named by the Romans magnesite, to make reactive magnesium cement powders. But it takes about only 700 or 900 degrees in a kiln to create the magnesium oxide or the different reactive magnesiums, purified magnesiums that we get from mining. So that's compared to 2,000 degrees, it's much less carbon dioxide emissions.
Interesting. Very
and it's
cool.
It will also create a carbon negative, carbon sequestering, like a hemp lime mix is also a carbon sequester. So it has that effect going on for it as well. So
I love it.
It's great. And it's so fun to work with too. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually had the privilege and the luxury of visiting a beautiful little community in France about 10 years ago or longer, and I got to build with Hempcrete, and it was one of the funnest experiences I've ever had. And so to kind of give our listeners, an idea, like let's say they just wanted to start experimenting and make a little hemp brick at their house. What materials would they need? Like let's say they just wanted to make a 12 inch by 12 inch block. What would they need? Like how much of the materials? What's a simple ratio or a simple recipe?
That
they could start.
Well, it's hard to find. The magnesium is a tougher product to find. It's fun to find though. I don't want to discourage people from going with magnesium, but lime is really easy to find and cheap. In most hardware stores carry it. Home Depot. Wherever, pretty much. Some hardware stores might not carry it, but
so they would need
like $12, $10 to $12
and lime.
What's that? Yeah,
so
I've done all kinds of mixes with the hemp lime. You can do mixes of and magnesium right now is pretty expensive. I'm finding that's one of my jobs is searching, trying to find a good deal on it. But it's tough. Anyone that tries and does the research finds out it's not as easy as coming by lime. So yeah, really for that you would just build I've been doing, it's such light stuff. You can go to the dollar store and get little plastic things to work as forms. You can use recycled materials like the bottom of a milk carton and make a brick, use that as a form. You could build a form with little scrap pieces of wood, which is cool. Really, I've been making forms with all kinds of things. You can even just get little petri dishes and do tiny little mixes and see how they look. That's what I'm doing right now. I've been doing a lot of, because it's easier to carry around those little samples and show people, as opposed to carrying a big brick around. I mean, can't take a brick in your suitcase, really. So
exactly.
Yeah, so sky's the limit. And then a basic ratio is lime is like 1.5 parts and hemp 1 part. Or you can play around with those too, and you could. I've done like half magnesium oxide, half lime, crushed glass, silica sand. You can add other aggregates. And right now, actually, for the stuccos and things, the hemp I've been adding is only about 18 to 25%. I've been having a hard time adding more than that because it gets too. Well, one of the things I've been working with is I bought a blender, like a Vitamix blender, a super powerful blender with blades. And I've been mixing and churning up the hemp that you sold me, Tyler, and making it much smaller and making it into like sawdust. So it mixes and I can create mortars and muds and stuccos and things. Because the big chunks, they work for some things, and I would like to keep them for like, let's say someone wanted just a typical Hempcrete. They work good for a hemp lime, not grinding them up. But for certain things, I want to grind them up. And so that's been one of the huge things I've been doing lately, researching, is trying to find a big blending type machine, so I can do a lot more bigger batches. So
cool.
I'm still working on that.
So it sounds really, really basic. Anybody could essentially order some hemp hurd, go try to source some magnesium and some water, and
mix water. Play around with the water content. I've been playing around with. It's not. You don't want to make it too soupy, especially for Hempcrete. You want to really the water content is important. Just add small amounts of water, and then you'll see when it starts to compact, and you can put your hand in there. It's safe. It's non-toxic, even with the lime. If you want to wear gloves, because it does maybe have a drying out effect, kind of like cement, then you can wear gloves with it. And maybe it's good to wear. It's good to wear if you're sensitive, protection for your respiratory, breathing protection. Little painter's masks, because there'll be dust flying around sometimes. Your lime, especially if you're working with lime. And just get a 5-gallon bucket and mix it with a stick or something. It really is not that hard to mix. I have a cement mixer, and I have a big like mortar type mixer thing, and I use those sometimes. Well, I'm going to use them for the project, but when I'm just doing little samples and making bricks, I just use my hand tools in a bucket. It's like easier that way, actually.
Awesome.
And I have a little scale. It's cool to play around with a little scale. You get a $10 little digital scale and weigh out your stuff and say how much of this, how much of that. That's what I've been doing over and over and over again, because I'm really trying to get the right mix of things. And then I want to create like first products I want to create are like ready mix, just add water type products that you can get into stores.
Awesome. I can't wait to see that. So speaking of products,
Hempcrete, and you know what? The magnesium and phosphate and magnesium oxide reacting together create it's stronger than concrete. It's amazing. But it's super fast, sets super quickly, within 5 to 30 minutes. So one of the things I'm trying to solve is retardant. I found out some research of borax, just adding a little tiny bit of borax, boron. To give it like more like 2 hours of work time, but like 2 hours of work time or something. But I found mixing with if I add some magnesium sulfate, like Epsom salts, I'm getting a cold reaction, because you get a heat reaction from magnesium oxide and magnesium phosphate. And then when I added I actually got a cold reaction from the Epsom salts, a little bit. And they did cure. They cured in more like 2 or 3 days, and they have created this more soupy-like effect, like more like asphalt. And so I'm thinking really the key is mixes of oxides, phosphates, and sulfites of magnesium to create varying anything really. You can create something that works good for a particle board. You can make something that works good for bricks, which the fast setting thing for bricks is amazing. We only need 5 minutes to pack a brick,
Right.
That's super quick, super, super strong. So I'm out of magnesium phosphate. So I'm like, trying to find it's hard, not easy to find the magnesium phosphate, and you can get it in tiny little bits and stuff, but right now I'm trying to find out a good source for it. It's a little tricky. So
right.
I can't really. I'm sorry. I'm stuck. I can't play with it because there's so much I can do with the phosphate because it hardens and sets so quickly. So I need that for the doing the hemp burlap experiment, because I'm going to add layers of the fast setting magnesium cement to give strength to the burlap. And anyway, and then we can build on that, or create boards that way. Create particle type, all kinds of different boards, the 2x4s, even things like that. By pack the hemp in with it, and try and pack as much of the hemp in as we can. But really, we're using magnesium is also good for the environment, or better. The best thing we have going. Yeah.
Right on. So what are some of your obviously you're doing the composites. You're working with the Hempcrete. Yep. You're experimenting, documenting. You're really trying to find a product that will be something that's duplicatable, something that you can offer at a hardware store as a ready mix. So it sounds like you've got some really awesome
competitive price too. Right now, the hemp and magnesium put together make a pretty expensive product, but luckily I got Iris that has some money to work with, so she can afford it. She wants to go with the cutting edge. People go to her Phi Center. She wants to be able to say it was an experiment and it might fall apart. She's okay with that, but I think we're going to make something that's pretty strong and withstand the weather. and people are going to think it's pretty cool. And she's an artist, too. So it's going to be artistic kind of design.
That's awesome.
And,
it's important to have things that are fun to look at. People look at it and go, wow, that's beautiful. And they fall in love with it. And then after the fact, you bring up that it's a sustainable product. It's made from
we didn't just go to Home Depot, or as my friend likes to call it, Home Desperate. I'm desperate for something.
So we just have about 4 minutes left on today's show. I would love to hear your vision for, where do you see yourself 5 years from now and 10 years from now as far as Cocamo City, and, what products do you want to see on the hemp market, and where do you see, yourself 5-10 years from now with Cocamo City?
Really, starting off the first part of the question, I want to see myself fully develop my 3 acres, which my mother gave to me in the Idaho area where I grew up, where I'm based in Cocamo, Idaho, right now, and I'm in my little office space that my dad is helping me set up. And I want to see that 3 acres developed. I'm beginning my first actual building project on my own, with permitted on the property. I'm going to build a 700 square foot sacred geometric home on my land with hemp bricks. I'm going to make lots of bricks with the magnet and rock as well, and other natural things, and some straw bale. I'm not just I'm not just focusing on hemp. There's all kinds of cool things. But anyway, I really would like to have a lot of hemp involved, and you're going to be selling me that hemp. But really, the second part of the question about hemp and what products I think should come, really everything, as we were talking about before. The most important products, though, are the ones which target eliminating the big carbon contributors and polluters, in this world. And this is a very broad topic, so I will just name a few I want to see much more of, and hopefully make myself as far as materials. As far as building materials, I feel these are huge, and also these products, paper, fiberglass, asphalt, concrete, fabric, textiles, clothing, road patches, shoes, plastics of all kinds, mortar, stucco, grout, particle boards, lumber, rock boards, graphene for batteries. They've been developing all kinds of technical components with hemp, a lot of hemp, not completely hemp, of course, but a lot of hemp things that we're going to see technical, and maybe even our cell phones with a lot of hemp components being used. Biofuels, ethanol, beer. I've had some great hemp beers. There's a great brewery in my town. Food, cosmetics, lotions, paints, and stains. I've just found a great product online, Hemp Shield. It's like $40 a gallon or something like that. It's a hemp waterproofing, different shades. You can buy that today. To-go food containers. Those are huge. People, so many of these to-go things being used every day that are being made out of really unsustainable materials and deforestation, so we can have fast-paced to-go items. We could be making those from hemp and other, jutes and other fibrous plants. And those are great too, not just hemp. Electronic components, really everything,
Exactly. Well,
really,
thank you so much for
25,000 things, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. We just have about a minute left, so I want to thank you so much, Marcus, for being on today's show. This is your hempy host, Tyler Hemp, with Hempaware Radio.
Well, thank you, Tyler.
Thanks so much for being on today's show, Marcus. I look forward to reconnecting and seeing some of your projects come to fruition. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a blast. I want to make it over to California and visit you. You've been so great in getting me my first, shipment of hemp, and that's been coming in handy. I can't do it without it. You're like the only game in town, really, and not just that, but you're also. Can't wait to see your essential oils business you've been telling me about, distillery and all that in Oregon, and hemp farms everywhere. We need to see more hemp being grown, and the laws for industrial hemp have a domino fall across the world. So when I go to Ecuador and have to, start building Cocamo City for my hemp building materials.
Right on, man.
When I
We
get
just
there,
got 5
the laws
seconds
will say I
left,
can
so
do
I
it.
appreciate you. Gotta
Okay.
go. Love you, man. Peace.
All right. I love you too, man.